Test cricket. How good is Test cricket? Honestly, the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. You're a chump if you think there's any other format in this game. Vish, tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I'd never tell you you're wrong. You're very rarely wrong, if ever. I thought what we've seen is brilliant, really. I think credit should go to the groundsman for a start. The fact that we've seen basically 3 different pitches in the space of the opening 4 days is pretty remarkable, and that the fact that it's suddenly become the best for batting on seemingly on the 4th evening that takes us into that 5th day, that much reviled 5th day from some people, but. I suppose what I would say is this wasn't an advert. It'd be easy to say this is an advert against 4-day cricket, but actually it's just an advert for 5-day cricket because teams are allowed to play the way they were. They were allowed to, play slowly, play quickly. This morning we saw Dom Sibley bat for too long. I don't understand how someone has that kind of patience, but he batted for long enough to not just take South Africa out of the game, but to bring England into a situation where Ben Stokes can come out and hit 70-odd, 40-odd balls.
That's right.
And, even Butler hitting a couple of sixes at the end there. And yet we also, later on in the day, see Peter Malan produce, a really quite excellent knock to see them through the day and ensure that they only lost 2 wickets with Faf du Plessis, the king of long draws still to come. So, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be here with you. And, thrilled to see what's happening tomorrow.
Word on Sibley. Bats with the grace of a combine harvester, and yet he gets the job done, doesn't he? There's a bit of Graham Smith about him. I know it's a little early to say that, but big burly lad, good on the leg side, started pulling out some drives later on in the innings. He looked really, really chuffed to have done that, didn't he?
Yeah, he's very much the archetypal English opener in that because of the way the ball moves in England and because of the Duke's ball, that basically you have your start is basically consolidating and making sure you're in so that when the ball gets old, when the bowlers get tired, you're the one who profits from that. In other parts of the world, it's probably more about doing your job and scoring what you can before ball has your number on it.
Yeah.
But with English openers in particular, you're taught to not just see the shine off the new ball, but make sure you use that new ball that older ball for yourself as well. And that's exactly what Sibley did. He didn't quite carry his bat per se because England declared, but he made sure he was there right at the end and even hit a few shots. You asked him in the press conference about the sweep out of the rough off Keshav Maharaj that took him to 100. And you even, within that, you see his calculation, because I'm stealing an answer that he gave to you here, but he talks about how when they had the field out, he didn't fancy sweeping in case he got a top edge. When they brought it in, because he needed one to go to his 100, he was happy to go a bit harder, and if he top edged it, he said he'd back himself that it'd be out of reach. So it was, a fine innings, very in keeping with what we've seen from him in county cricket. He's outscored everyone last season by simply making sure he faced enough balls and was there long enough, and he's done that again here today on the biggest stage.
And from one opener to another, Peter Malan wore one on the chest. He'd come in for the injured Adam Markram. I mean, he really thudded that, didn't he?
I mean, you've seen the
I was about to say, a cricketer probably with the biggest biceps. I think you tweeted that he was debuting for South Africa at inside centre, which I thought was pretty good. Just a word on Peter Malan. I mean, facing an uphill battle higher than Table Mountain, and yet he's still there tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, it's always too early to judge an opener on their first innings, and that's even if they get a big score on debut. And I think what we've seen from him here is exactly why South Africa picked him, and why actually maybe going forward that he would have threatened Markram if Markram's run of bad scores had gone on.
Yeah.
He looked very compact, he looked very strong on the drive as well, and I suppose crucially, in this situation, it is about batting time, but it's about doing what you do naturally for as long as possible, really. So if the ball is there to drive it, that's what he did. And be interesting to see how he goes tomorrow, because he has to start again tomorrow. We've seen morning conditions here have been pretty tough. The ball has done a bit as the mist comes off that wonderful mountaintop over there. I think he's pretty well placed. And I think he's the kind of player who gives you a bit of confidence, because he does make it look flat because he's so big, and because when he defends the ball, he really
big stride.
Gets that big stride in. So it'll be interesting to see what he's got. It'll be interesting to see what Faf's got. I do think once England get beyond 5, that pretty much they'll pretty much run through them. South Africa's tail have done well in this series when trying to score runs. Be interesting to see how they do if they're trying to bat time.
Well, Test cricket. We can't wait to be back here.